All right, hi, hello, welcome back to another video. My name is Chelsea and this is the Chelsea Reads and Stuff channel. In this video, I'm really excited because I'm gonna be ranking Emily Henry books, and she is one of my favorite authors. One of her books got me really back into reading a few years ago as an adult, and I'm just in love with her books. And yes, I'm super excited. So I have all of these Emily Henry books, and then the most recent one, Funny Story, I don't have a copy of yet. I'm usually not too finicky with like paperback versus hardback. I do like kind of paperback better for romances. I just love how these all look together, so I'm gonna wait to get Funny Story once it's in paperback. So yeah, I'm excited to rank these. She's obviously a really popular author and I love her books a lot. I don't know if this is gonna be kind of like I don't know if this is gonna be like kind of unpopular opinions or whatever, but I know certain people feel like really strongly about certain books. But I'm just going with my gut on this one because I already kind of knew which were my favorites and which were my least favorites. But actually sitting down and like thinking about them, it was interesting to really like sit and think about them. So anyway, what I'm saying is I love all these books and there really isn't a bad Emily Henry book. So even if I ranked it lower than others, like I don't think it's a bad book by any means. It's just the ones that I prefer and which ones I really, really love. So let me put these in order. Yes. Number one is Beach Read. Beach Read is one of my favorite books of all time. Definitely one of my favorite contemporary romance books. This is the book I was just describing that really got me back into reading a few years ago when I wasn't reading like anything. And it was like, first year of the pandemic and I really wanted to get back into reading, but I didn't know what to read. I was kind of reading just random stuff that are on like best of lists. And then I finally picked up this one, and I wasn't a huge contemporary romance reader at all at the time, but this one is just, it has my heart. January and Gus have such a good relationship in this book, and I love Emily Henry books because not only is it obviously a romance, but there's always an interesting story or something else happening like to the characters in the novels that make it like so much better and so much realistic compared to a lot of other contemporary romances that are kind of maybe more fluffy or don't feel like real. I feel like I started reading this and I was immediately hooked. I also just like books about like writers and authors, and these two characters both are writers. They're both a little bit in a rut, but they're kind of together, and they used to go to school together and were kind of like rivals in school. And January is more of a romance writer herself, and Gus is more of, I think, of like a fictional writer, but kind of like a darker style writing. And they sort of are trying to switch genres and write for a different genre. So they go on little trips with each other just to kind of like see how the other one does like their research for their writing. And then they have this really nice like slow build like romance throughout too, while she's trying to like get over this writer's block she's been having. But I love books about books and writers. So yeah, they kind of go through like these different field trips with each other, and then their romance is also blossoming, and it's just such a great story. And I love Gus a lot. He's like that kind of classic grumpy character. And I should probably say too, like look at these, I'll show each cover too. I love the cover art on these. The next one is actually the newest one, Funny Story, which just came out last month, and I ate this book up. I loved it so much. I don't have that one physically, but that has an awesome cover as well. In this we're following Daphne and Miles, and I really related to the Daphne character. I really loved this book, and it just kind of told a really great, it had a great romance in it, but it also told just a really great story of trying to like finding yourself and figuring yourself out. She, at the beginning of the book, is in a really weird situation because she was just dumped by her fiance, and she moves in with Miles, and he was just dumped by the girl that his fiance went off with. So they're like really upset, and they kind of come up with this like fake dating situation, even though they're just roommates, and they're kind of turning into friends in the beginning of the story, but there's no romantic anything between them at first. And then they are doing this fake dating because they were invited to the other couple's wedding, which was kind of ridiculous. And so they're just saying that they're together because they're gonna like go to this wedding. And then from there, they really like hit it off. They become closer. Miles is definitely like a very down to earth, like sweetheart. But I would say his love language is definitely quality time, because he's just like cooking her up stuff and hanging out at home with her. And then he takes her on outings in their town because she moved there for her ex and she doesn't really know anybody or know things to do in the town. And Miles kind of knows everybody and knows everything. He works at a winery, which is like, you know, excellent boyfriend material. But yeah, I just ate this book up. I thought it was so sweet. The writing was so great. Emily Henry really did it in this one. I just found all of their little cute dates amazing. I loved it from the beginning. You just hated that other character so much. And I related to it so much when you're just sort of like, what am I doing here? Why am I here? And she had a lot of stuff to figure out that wasn't just like being in a relationship. She needed to figure out being like by herself and who she is and being a good friend and all this other really great stuff. So I loved that book. That was my clear number 2. So then we have, this is where it was a little hard because I kind of knew which one was going to be my final pick, but 3 and 4 could kind of go back and forth with me, but let me explain. Okay, so for number 3, I ended up choosing People We Meet on Vacation. This is a really great book. Alex and Poppy are really fun in this book, and I do really like the story, and I think their romance is really super sweet. They kind of go back and forth through time during like different vacations they've taken together, and they were just like best friends for the longest time, and then something happened that kind of ruined that, and then a few years went by, and now they are trying to do another trip together, but it's been a complete disaster. I think they end up going to like Palm Springs or something, and I don't know why that's such a huge trigger for me, but like something about being really hot in a desert, like it was really hard to read. But yeah, they're stuck in like a hotel that sucks and doesn't have air conditioning. So I was just like really uncomfortable reading part of this book. So maybe that's why it's a little lower for me, but I really like our couple a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the like back and forth through time storytelling. Sometimes some books really nail it and some books it's not that great. Emily Henry does such a good job with that and like kind of filling in like things that aren't just the romantic situation. But Emily Henry just does such a good job at writing like very emotional stories and very funny stories. Like I feel for these two characters, they just feel like real people. I would say that in most of her books. These just feel like normal, regular people, and this is like the situation that's going on, and then it gets super emotional. Whenever I think of this book, all I want to do is go and travel and just go to different places and meet different people. And yes, I think this is my solid number 3 right now. Like I said, I feel like 3 and 4 could switch at a different day, but for right now, this is my number 3 pick. Okay, so then my number 4 is Happy Place. I had kind of a confusing time with Happy Place. I do really like it. Like I said, I like all of these books. When I first started it, I didn't like it, and I was shocked just because I like all Emily Henry books. And I will say, once I got into it further, I ended up loving a lot of characters in this book. My only issue with this book, for whatever reason, I don't really care about our couple very much. I'm not a huge second chance romance person, and I feel like all the other friends and other characters in this story were more interesting than maybe our 2 romantic leads. Not that they were bad characters by any means. I just liked their friends more, and I liked that dynamic of like kind of like growing up and kind of falling out of your older friend groups, and like everyone having their own lives and their own, you know, stuff that they're worrying about. So they're on vacation together. Their whole friend group goes to this house that they always spend time at in this town that they love. And yeah, they haven't told their friends that they had broken up So it's also hard because I hate the miscommunication trope too. So it's one of those where it's just like, why didn't they just tell them? This is so uncomfortable. And so yeah, that part doesn't matter as much. I'm not going to really fixate on that because I just don't really love it. Yeah, and for whatever reason, because it's dual POV, which I usually like, and I just couldn't relate to our main character, Harriet, very much. So I think that did it a little bit, and then also just not really caring about second chance romances. And I don't know, whenever it's a second chance romance, unless I really want them together, which I just didn't here, I'm just kind of like, there are other people in the world. I don't know why we're harping and making everything so sad for everyone else, even though the friends in the house really want them to be together too, and in the beginning they kind of assume they are, so it's super awkward and weird. But like I said, it does get better. And I was almost gonna DNF it towards the beginning because I just really didn't like it, but it's an Emily Henry book, you know. I just figured I would find something that I liked in it. And I'm glad I did, because once I read through more and I liked those other aspects a lot better, I ended up still really enjoying this book. Yeah, but I don't know if this one was for everyone. I know a few people who read it that didn't really like it, and then I know a few people who read it who they think this is the best book she's ever written. So I think it is one of those books where it kind of goes either way. But that's my number 4 choice, which that only leaves Book Lovers as my final pick. And which is funny because this is probably one of my favorite covers, to be honest with you. Again, I don't dislike this book. I still think this is probably a 3-star read, maybe a 4-star read. A lot of people, I know this is their favorites too, so that's why it's kind of hard. But for me, this is the lowest one. I feel like it's almost the opposite of Happy Place, if that makes any sense. I like the couple in this book a lot. It's the outside characters and the other stuff in the plot going on that I just didn't care about and didn't relate to. Nora and Charlie, and they work in the book industry, the publishing industry, which is fun too. So I like all of that stuff. And it's funny because they go to this small North Carolina town, and I just recently moved within the last year to North Carolina, so that's really funny too. I wonder if I reread it, if it would feel any different. But I just kind of didn't care about like the other stuff in the plot. Like I said, I felt kind of sad because I liked Charlie, but we didn't get a ton of him in it. And I just kind of wish there was more of him and more of his romance in this, more of their romance in this story, I think is my thing with this book. But it was still very it was still a very satisfying read because I still liked them a lot. They were kind of like running into each other in this small town constantly. And I just kind of wanted more from their romance, I think is what I liked. I liked Nora, I liked her personality a lot, and like I said, I liked Charlie a lot too. I just wanted a little more of them. And yeah, while I did like Nora a lot in this book, like more than I liked Harriet for sure, I found her super relatable and cool, and like she just knew stuff about herself, and she like has this awesome job in the publishing industry, which is like a dream. And yeah, I really liked Charlie. Again, I just wish we got a little more from him because there was just a little animosity between the two in the beginning, and then they're in this small town and they keep running into each other, and you're really not sure like what's gonna happen with the situation, but they're obviously both falling for each other, and all of that stuff is super, super sweet. So I still recommend reading this book because it's still an Emily Henry book. It's still really good. But it is my final pick. This is number 5. So, okay, so I don't have funny story obviously because it would go right there. But this is my order of my favorite books by Emily Henry. So yeah, that's my ranking of all 5 Emily Henry books. I don't know why I'm so nervous to rank things on the internet. I feel like everyone's gonna hate me, but that's just how I feel about them. But I love all these books so much. Yeah, feel free to comment down below if you want to put your own ranking in there. If yours is similar to mine or if it's completely different from mine. That's always really fun to know. And then if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really means a lot to me. And thank you so much for watching. This was a lot of fun, and I will see you guys in the next video.